What's up, boys? It's your commissioner, the Dinero here, reporting to you live on this Wednesday, September 28th. 3 weeks of football already in the books. Man, time flies during football season. It's ridiculous. Unfortunately, I had to work this weekend, so I didn't catch all the action from the games. Didn't really get to see a lot. Pondered the box scores, watched some highlights, read the articles. So I'll try and give my best recap here. Interesting week from our team, from our league, matchup-wise. 4 out of the 5 matchups this week were fucking blowouts. Jim and George were the only close matchup where George squeaked out a 3-point win over Jimbo. Congratulations to the Jew. I know he's happy for getting $10. Mikey winning the week. Solid 240 points. Giving Wang the old Essence Award. Beating him by 81 points. You had T.Y., fucking Manny, and Devontae all go off for over 35. Rudolph with a good showing, 20. Surprising that you put up 240 with your quarterbacks getting 14 and 13, and Forte only putting up 8. Typically think quarterbacks big contributors. Forte's been killing it, so to put up 240 with those, that's pretty impressive. Congrats on win number 1, Bo. Man, Wang, 7 dudes in the single digits. Team was led by none other than the legend Christine Michael, putting up 30 points. Make me want to just jump off a bridge. Just fucking heartbreaking for me. Tevin Coleman, or Devin, whatever the fuck his name is, 29 points in that crazy game on Monday night, where both him and Freeman were going off. Stephon Diggs and Hopkins had relatively disappointing weeks, like 7 and 9 points, or 8 and something like that. But one of the downfalls so far of your team are these quarterbacks here. They're struggling, man. Mariota, Alex Smith, and Dalton not helping you out in any way. Had Carlos Hyde on your bench with 29. I'm sure that stung a little bit. Not that it would have, factored into the decision of the matchup at all, but it always hurts to keep big points on the bench. Suffered your first loss. You're now 2-1. I played Bob, beat him 205 to 144. I'm 3-0, bitches. Holla. Only undefeated team left. A little bit of good fortune in there, playing Johnny last week. But I'm, 4th in points. Team's respectable, maybe. We'll see with these running back situation. As I've been saying for the past 3 weeks, it's going to be a situation to monitor, because it is not pretty by any means. My team was led this week by the number 1 wide receiver, Marvin Jones, 46 points. I don't like the fact that it came against my Green Bay Packers and he was just ripping them to shreds. But we got Sticky Shields still out. Hopefully his fucking concussion heals and he doesn't fucking retire or something retarded like that. And Drew Brees getting me 30 points in that wild Monday night game. Odell got me 22. Fucking kid still hasn't scored a touchdown. Goddamn Shepard's over here feasting. Odell can't get no love from Eli in the money area. So hopefully that'll change. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Allen Robinson found the end zone twice, put up 22 points for me, or something like that as well. Good to see him, come out, get a couple touchdowns. Kickers and defenses, man, they're my kryptonite. I cannot pick a matchup to save my life. Went Nick Folk, he's put up like 10 and 9. Fucking guy goes out and gets 3. Pick, I don't even know what defense I picked. Miami. Defense playing Cleveland. They get like 5 points, goddamn. Bob's got Tannehill over here sabotaging my defense, throwing pick sixes, costing me more points than it's costing him. I had Fleener finally show up on my bench, unfortunately, with 26. Hopefully that could continue, and he can be what I had hoped he would be when I picked him in the 9th round. Not that that's early, but You know, I had high hopes for him. Bob's team categorized by wide receiver struggles. Cooks with 3. Dick? What the hell's Dick? Can't read my writing. Somebody had 4 points. I don't know. Somebody had 4. Hearns had, Decker had 4. Hearns had 8. Mike Wallace had 6. Bob only had 5 guys get in the double digits. That just ain't gonna cut it. Somehow you avoided the cocksucker. Probably because of Zeke and Gurley both going over 20. That's nice. See if Gurley can keep that up, or if it was a fluke. You know, there are going to be a lot of negative game script this year where he's not getting the passing work. And, you know, he had 2 touchdowns, so without that, he's looking at 10 points. So he might be very touchdown dependent. We'll see. Biggest question right now for Bob's team is Terrell Pryor Sr. For real, or was that a flash in the pan? 34 points. Dude was running, throwing, catching, doing everything. That'll be interesting to watch in the coming weeks. Log played Zoe and beat him 217 to 137. Log was led by none other than Jordy Nelson, his first round pick, putting up 31 points, and his second round pick, David Johnson, putting up 25 points. As it stands right now, I think Log has, you know, returned the most value on his first 2 picks. Jordy was drafted as the 6th receiver. He's currently the 5th. And David Johnson was the 4th running back off the board. And he's currently number 3. Just an interesting little tidbit I thought there. Log is also the owner of the number 3 running back, fucking LeGarrette Blount. Just pounding away on people, putting up 28 points. Log also got a good showing out of DT with 28. Charles Sims filling in for Dougie Fresh with 23. And Jimmy Graham, he's alive. 25 points, 100 yards, and a touchdown. However, that might have contributed to Tyler Lockett getting 0. I don't know. I do think Lockett got hurt, though, or something. So that hurt Log's chance of winning the week right there, even though King did get him by 23 points. He did have Sproles on the bench with 30, though. Came out of nowhere after putting up 5 and 6 the first 2 weeks. Congrats on win number 1, Logie. You're out of the gutter. You know, finally on the board. Cocksucker Award goes to Log's opponent, Mr. Brohan Khan, putting up 137. Really, dude? 137? Come on, man. Your second highest player was your defense at 17. Now, I expect that from Johnny, who I think his highest scoring was his defense, but granted, that was 41. Stafford got you 37. Palmer was stifled by the phenomenal Bills defense. Put up 3 points. Had your boy Wentz on the bench put up 30. Cobb and Edelman both struggled. Slot guys not treating you well. You're 1 and 2, but you got Le'Veon coming back this week. Will he be the savior for you? In our 4th matchup of the week, we had the upset of the week. Johnny pulling off the big victory versus Gladdy, giving the 2-time reigning champion his first loss. Beat him 225 to 146. Johnny had 4 dudes over 30, including, like I mentioned, Kansas City with 41 points. In a game that I won't forget, I know Wang won't forget, and I know Johnny won't forget. Probably none of us. 6 picks from Fitzmagic. Magical how he lasted the whole game without getting pulled. I guess that's what happens when Gino's your backup. You get a long leash. A-Rod, Shady, and Baldwin also over 30. Johnny putting up 225 with nothing from Gronk. Unbelievable. Got a solid 20 out of Mike Thomas. And he just has to deal 1 more week without Tim Brody. And then watch out. Maybe Johnny's on to something. Gladdy was 2-0 and again lost. Got goose egg from Calvin Benjamin, stifled by that Vikings defense, which is for real. You know, I think some of A-Rod's struggles last week were overblown because Minnesota they're a good team. And Julio also only put up 2. That's 2 big-time disappointments from 2 big-time players there for Gladdy. His QBs put up average. maybe below average numbers, I don't know. Eli 18, Rivers disappointed with only 15 versus that struggling Indianapolis defense. Jeremy Hill on the bench with 21, that hurts. Made up for it with a nice play, Jamison Crowder getting 20 points. And then the last matchup of the week, but not least, our now surprisingly so point leader, George, beat Jim 189 to 186 in the only close matchup of the week. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Hurts me to say it. George's team was led by the #1 running back right now as we stand. DeMarco Murray's 30 points. Where the fuck was that last year, you asshole? Fuck you, DeMarco. He also got 30 from Landry, and biggest development of that week was he overcame -3 from the one and only Fitzmagic and his 6 interceptions and still won with a -3. 17 points from his kicker is sweet. Obviously, that's a big boost. Sterling Shepard keeps doing work. He got 18. Yeah, solid games from Fitz. And AJ Green, 13 and 15. Ingram with 22. Solid all-around performance. 189 points. Keep you in the lead for points. Or put you in the lead, I don't know. But you are in the lead, that's all I know. Jim was led by 37 points from one of his 2 big black cocks, Jameis Winston, and 29 from Antonio Brown. Cam struggled versus Minnesota with only 12 points. And then he got -1 from the Steelers D. If he had any defense out there that got 3 points, he could beat George. So that hurts. And, a situation that might be tough week to week for Jim, Kelsey or Jordan Reed, or playing them both, but he's got some decent other flex options. Picked the wrong one this week. Jordan Reed had 9, Kelsey had 20. Be interesting to see if he'll play them both or if he's going to continue to play one and hopefully hit the right one on a week-to-week basis, which is difficult. Tight ends are just, somewhat kind of hard to predict. Melvin Gordon continued his solid work, 17 points. He's the current #7 running back. And he was picked 1 pick after I picked Jeremy Langford. What the fuck was I thinking? Oh, fuck me. Our standings after 3 weeks, boys. Like I said, I'm the only undefeated team, 3-0. Gladdy right behind me at 2-1. And then Mike, John, and Bob are tied for last in our division at 1-2. The other division, we got Wang and George up top at 2-1. Log, Jim, and Zoe at 1-2. Point-wise, George is winning at 626 total, which comes out to about 208 a week. Mike is second at 607, about 202 a week. Log is third at 602, 200 a week. I'm a distant fourth at 578, which is, 190, a week. Bob in last place with 460, averaging a solid 153 a week. He's 39 points behind Johnny for 9th place points. Week 4, we got some interesting matchups. Gladdy takes on me, trying to, not go another game back, trying to tie me up at 3-1 if he could beat me. Some of my big matchups that might determine this: Tyrod versus New England. He's projected 20. I'll be fucking stoked if he could do that, especially since I think I'm going to play New England defense. And Odell projected 20 versus Minnesota, which could be high as well. But on the other side of the spectrum, glad he has Eli, so might balance out a little bit there. They got Fleener projected at 12. Hopefully he can surpass that. Not going to cross my fingers. This past week versus Atlanta could have been a fluke. Glad he's going to hope Kelvin Benjamin can bounce back versus a bad Atlanta defense. But he gets 2 tough matchups with his good receivers, Mike Evans versus Denver and Julio versus Carolina. So hopefully they can contain them. But the one thing that worries me, he gets Philip Rivers versus New Orleans. That could really hurt. In a battle of 1 and 2 teams, we got Johnny versus Jimbo. Johnny's like a 80-90 point underdog. He only has one QB this week because Rodgers on a bye, Brady's suspended, and you can only roster 3. So he's going to be rolling Seaman out there as the lone gunslinger for Gronky Mongo. Speaking of, he gets Gronk versus Buffalo, interesting matchup. Baldwin has a good matchup, but no other real matchups for Johnny, good or bad, just seemingly average matchups compared to the guys' relative play. Jim gets Cam versus Atlanta, so that's one to watch out for. On the other end, Jameis plays Denver, so that could stifle him. CJ Anderson looking for a big game versus Tampa Bay, and Melvin Gordon looking for a go-on versus New Orleans, so that's probably likely to be some of Jim's top performers right there. Log plays Wang. Log's 1-2, Wang 2-1. Trying to tie that up if Log could get the win. Log has some interesting matchups. Luck versus Jacksonville. Should be able to exploit that. Blunt versus Buffalo. That'd be interesting. David Johnson versus the Rams would be interesting. The Rams D's been playing better, I guess, but they were giving up a lot of points to Tampa Bay this week, so that one probably David Johnson will eat. Looking for Travis Benjamin to bounce back from his 12-point, not that that's bad, 12-point performance versus the shitty, god-awful New Orleans defense. And Demarius projected only at 14 versus Tampa Bay, which he could probably outscore that number. Wang gets to see Mike, the legend, can follow up his 30-point performance versus his New York Jets. Biggest thing, can Wang's quarterbacks be contributors to his team? Because as I said, they're struggling. Stephon Diggs, can he bounce back versus the Giants? They got some good corners. Defense looking solid. Alshon gets a good matchup versus Detroit, and Nuke Hopkins gets a good matchup versus Tennessee. Jorge plays Zoe. George is 2-1. Zoe's 1-2. George has a number of good matchups on paper. Mark Ingram versus San Diego. DeMarco versus the J.J. Wattless Houston team. Will they crumble without him? Landry, what could he do versus Cincy? He'll probably still get his. Matty Ice gets a tough pull with Carolina. And Brandon Marshall tough versus Seattle. So those are some of the big names and key matchups there to watch. Zoe gets Carson Palmer versus the Rams. Can he get rid of, improve on his 3 points from last week? Stafford gets a beatable Chicago defense. He'll probably feast, hopefully, to my boy Starvin Marvin. Le'Veon comes back facing Kansas City. Greg Olsen plays Atlanta. Fleener just shredded him. Can Greg Olsen follow that up? And Lamar versus Tennessee, probably a good matchup there. And in our last preview of Week 4, we got Kinger versus Bob, battle of the 1 and 2s. King gets Bortles versus Indy. So hopefully that's a matchup he can exploit for King. Derek Carr projected 19th versus the surprising 3-0 Ravens, who've been playing some good defense. So that's one he might put up right around. That might be an accurate projection. Don't really see him, maybe exceeding that by a lot, or maybe 15, 16 in my opinion. Forte gets Seattle. Probably will bottle him up, but maybe he'll be able to catch a number of passes. Ty should feast against Jacksonville, and Deshaun should be able to find some room versus the Cleveland secondary. So those are some big ones to watch. As well as Manny, he could probably eat versus Tampa. Devontae, he might gets a tough pull with Carolina. And can Kyle Rudolph keep this up against the Giants, who I think are historically bad versus tight ends? Bob gets Dak and Zeke versus San Fran. Good matchups there for him. Cook's looking to bounce back versus the Chargers, even though they got a good couple of corners there, Verrett and Robinson. Mike Wallace looking to get open deep versus Oakland, who all these puzzle pieces have not fit together for them yet. Throwing in his waiver wire gem, Humphreys versus that stout Denver secondary. That's going to be interesting to see what he could produce. And Pryor, they're playing Washington. We'll see how much of Josh Norman he sees, or what happens there. We'll find out if he's legit or not. with that, I wrap up this week 3 conclusion, week 4 preview. Packers are on a bye this week, but still, as always, go Pack, go. Love you, boys. Be easy.